Hi there, welcome. My name is Trisha Broderick with Ignite Insight and Innovation, and it is March of 2025 coming live again on the first Friday of the month. I'm a little proud of myself at how consistent I've been with these first Fridays. I also don't know what that says about my work ethic that I'm always available on Fridays. But we won't go there. We won't talk about that out loud. We'll just accept it and be happy about the fact that I've been able to be fairly consistent with things. So welcome, welcome. If you come on, I can't always see, but if you post some comments, sometimes I can, but it doesn't always show me the LinkedIn. It sometimes says just LinkedIn user. I can't figure out why. Sometimes I can see who it is, and sometimes it just says LinkedIn user, but we're going to go with it and enjoy. But if you comment and I see it, I can try and incorporate any questions you might have as you're going along. So before I get started on today's topic, I wanted to acknowledge International Women's Day. That's tomorrow. I actually went to well, first of all, back it up. I woke up, first thing I looked at and saw online was somebody that I had mentored when they were in high school, and I was just starting my career through the Society of Women Engineers. And she ended up posting this wonderful post on Facebook, just calling attention to that. And this is a long time ago. I have not been just out of college for a while, people. And to have that kind of acknowledgement, recognition, but just understanding the impact it was just what a way to start a day. I'm riding on cloud nine today. So I went to go and post my own post, right? And highlight people who have been there for me with different things. And I actually was completely overwhelmed by how many women have just completely opened doors, supported, challenged, partnered, collaborated with me, that I ended up realizing I couldn't really write that post because I was either going to write a book or I was afraid I was going to miss out and miss somebody. So instead, I kind of just acknowledged and said to all the badass women out there, thank you. I think it is one of the coolest things, especially in the world right now, to remember how much we can show up for each other, how much we can support each other, and how much that makes a difference. And so thank you to all the people, all the women that I've gotten to work with, deliver with, and just laugh with a lot of times. And so thank you for that. Now for today's topic, I have to put my disclaimer up front. Okay. I am not an expert in this. Marketing is by far my worst area. Maybe, I don't know. My imposter syndrome might want to challenge me on that in several areas, but I am not a great marketing person. I do not do a lot of traditional marketing techniques. In fact, sometimes when I see a marketing technique, I'm like, that is not for me. I do not like it. And then people are like, but it's really effective. I'm like, yeah, but it's so this is something I'm not going to come at this topic today in terms of tips for exactly how to do your brand and things. There's a lot of resources out there for that kind of stuff. What I wanted to come at for this topic and giving tips when it is associated to your brand, and more on the individual or personal brand, professional personal brand, is the big catches that I found along the way, that no matter what assets I was creating, no matter what the website looked like or my posts looked like, if these kind of three things weren't in place, it just didn't have the same effect. So less on what assets should you create for your brand, but more on what needs to be true for those assets to ring true. There's a lot of true in that sentence, but that's what it is. So the first one that I want to highlight is it authentic? Like, there are times that I will see somebody else's video post. I'm like, oh, that's so good. So good. And then I try and reproduce it. Okay, duplicate it for myself. And it just doesn't have the same effect. It doesn't have the same vibe to it. And one of those things is because you really have to be authentic in whatever assets you're putting out, whatever messaging you're putting out, whatever communication you're highlighting. If it's not you, and they've met you, then it feels inauthentic. It feels like somebody's putting on a facade. And then that causes a trust issue. I'll in-group, out-group you. I won't want to work with you because I'm like, which Trisha am I getting today? I have a colleague, Jake, who often will say, you get the same Trisha no matter who shows up in the room. It's sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing, but it is a reality thing. And because of that, there's a very authentic feel to what I'm saying, and it registers more real and true for people because it doesn't feel like corporate bingo speak coming from me, but it also doesn't feel like I'm all of a sudden really professional and proper and all my English is well spoken. Like that's just not me either. I know, shocker right now, but it's just not it's not me. I stutter. I think through my thoughts. I think by this, right? Like this is just authentically who I am. And some people won't like it. In fact, I have a general vibe of like people either love me or they hate me. There's usually not an in between. And that's okay. Part of your brand and your thing is for people to know who you are. Because if they like who you are, then when you go to deliver whatever value you're providing, they're going to be more on board with it. If they think they're getting something because of one asset you have or one video you have that isn't authentic to you, and then you show up and you deliver in a different way, fingers crossed it works out for them, right? Because they were expecting something else. And so really think about, does it register true to who you are, right? Whether it's colors, whether it's messaging, whether it's the background, right? Like your clothing, like, oh, and I just realized I'm wearing yellow and that's got kind of a interesting, so we'll just cover my hair up with that. But, all of those things is just, is it authentic to you, right? Even so little, like I had somebody recently comment, like, when did you start wearing glasses? Because they noticed immediately. I choose people. I choose. The eyes are going slowly more. And I have to put them on and things like that. But I am now thinking about that a little bit more. It's like, can I get more of my videos to have my glasses in it? Can I do those kinds of things? Because I want to be authentic in that. In addition to the authentic, kind of a part B on the authenticity part is, does the actual stuff align with what people say about you? So like my word of mouth is very like vulnerability and authentic, but also direct, supportive. Like these are the adjectives or words people use to describe me. If my messaging is very, I will just go with whatever everybody, people pleaser. I'll just, whatever you want, I'm here to support you. And I won't ever challenge. I won't ever, right? Like, that's not like anybody who's met me are like, who is this? And again, you don't want that. I don't feel like this is the real person, because then when you go again to deliver, they're not going to be happy, or most likely they won't be happy with what they're getting because they thought they were getting that other thing they saw in your branding. So really pay attention to that. It's less important to be, have all the exact same assets as somebody or all the exact same videos or the styles or things like that, than to just be you and be authentically you and what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what that means. Okay. So that's one with two parts. Two, think of outcome more than title when you're working with your brand. This is one that I'm only recently now realizing and getting. I've never been big on titles. I've always kind of like, in fact, I once created a slide in one of my sessions that I was speaking. I was like, I put all these titles up and then I put a fake one up. I'm like, guess which one's the fake one? Because it's hard. Like titles don't mean anything. They don't often translate across organizations. And even when they do, it still doesn't mean the same amount of work or what your value is or what you're bringing. And so I, especially as a consultant, especially as somebody that owns her own business and things, I can fall victim to titles because it's a quick, easy, tagline, right? Right under LinkedIn. What's your tagline? What's your title, right? What that is. And I went to well, let me back up for this story. I had my earliest challenge a little bit with it was a lot of times what people wanted to title with me with, I didn't identify with. So people will be like, oh, she's an agile coach. And I'm like, I can do that, but it's not who I am. I like doing that. I will occasionally do that, but it's not who I am. And so I think I always have really struggled with the title thing, but it really hit home for me with branding recently. I went to this event. It was a leadership type event. And when I was at the event, everybody was introducing themselves. And I'm not kidding you. Everybody was like, I'm an executive coach. I'm a leadership advisor. I'm an executive coach. I'm a leadership advisor. Like everybody was just identifying themselves, setting their brand by these like 2 words, right? And it was very, very common. Executive coach or leadership advisor were like the 2 most common at this particular meetup. Now, granted, it was a meetup for leadership, so that was going to heavily sway that. But it made me realize it was like, oh, the title doesn't differentiate you. The title doesn't even really explain what you do, right? 2 different people can have vastly different approaches to leadership advisement, right? 2 different people can have completely different approaches when it comes to executive coaching. 2 different people can have completely different set of skill sets and perspectives and approach and whatnot. The title doesn't actually say what your brand is. It doesn't actually help people understand what outcomes you help create. And so I started thinking more about this, and I still leave it. I still will refer to myself as a leadership advisor, and a founder, those kinds of titles, book author, things along those lines. But I found myself really digging into what is the outcome? What's a tagline that is an outcome I can create? What is a tagline that really summarizes what I contribute as a leadership advisor, as an executive coach, as an agile coach, whatever it is that I'm bringing to the table, right? What is it that I want my brand to say? Like, what's the value that I want my brand to be? And I will be on, it was not an easy thing. I used some chat GPT to help me with this. But I was like, I've always loved my company name of Ignite. And so I was like, I really want the Ignite. And then I started thinking about those words that people use to describe me. And I was playing with this. It's where AI came in, started helping me a little bit with things. And I finally, when I tried different things, and at first things were not landing for me, I would try it. I would be like, oh, doesn't feel right. It's not really describing what it is that I'm doing or what I bring to the table, what my brand is with those things. So, but I kept practicing, I kept trying, I kept seeing. And then when it hit, it just locked in and it just is easy now. I don't even hesitate when it comes to it. Like I help people ignite what's possible. I help orgs ignite what's possible. I help leaders ignite what's possible. I help individuals ignite what's possible. And the minute I said ignite what's possible, everything just kind of fell together. Like my brand then had coherency and cohesion and it had that essence. Because for me, igniting what's possible is like, yeah, I will challenge you. I will support you. I believe that people can grow and learn. I want to keep challenging the status quo. I want to keep hitting next level of performances. I want to build more resiliency. And ignite what's possible also then honors the fact that not everything is possible. Like I don't want to diminish or dismiss or invalidate the real struggles that people have or hurdles that they have to overcome, or in some cases don't have control over that they can't possibly do. I authentically have a struggle with like, if you think it can be true, and it's like, no, in my world, I have experiences where I can think all day long and I still can't make that thing to be true. And so to honor that, to be authentic to that, the what's possible really aligned then with that part of it. It felt real. Now, when I introduce myself to people, I'm like, hey, I'm Trisha Broderick. I own Ignite Insight and Innovation, and we really focus on helping people ignite what's possible. And it just rolls off my tongue, and I can say it in 20 different ways in 20 different contexts because it feels so true to who I am, what I do, and the value I bring, and not the title I currently have or have given myself or somebody else has bestowed upon me, and in any kind of way, and what that might mean or not mean. Again, I'm not anti-title. I'll still have on my LinkedIn, it still says leadership advisor and author and those kinds of things. But what it also now says is my brand that I really want to focus in on of Ignite What's Possible. Hi, Danielle. I just saw your comment come through. I'm glad that this is helping. And I never know if I'm just myself sometimes. So it's helpful to even see those things. So welcome. So the third tip is, if you want brand per se to where that authenticity, that outcome helps drive business. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, for a lot of people, why they're trying to build their brand is for work, is for getting opportunities, for finding clients, for finding engagements. I am no different. I'm like, in fact, I have 2 weeks free in April. If anybody is interested, I have 2 weeks now in April that is available, right? And so one of the reasons that we focus on brand is to help people know who we are so that they can engage with us, that they can work with us, that they can understand who to look for and find you when they are looking for that thing. And so one of the messages that Mike Cohn would say often that I don't think I fully grasped until more recently. And he would say something to the effect of, be known for something. And I was like, well, that's lovely to say, Mike Cohn, who, has written several books and is an amazing person and is, somebody I go to on a regular basis for feedback and advice and things like that. It's easy for you to say, be known for something because you're Mike Cohn. And I think I that was my initial reaction, and hearing him highlight that. But I knew something was there, because there always is something there when Mike's espousing wisdom and information. And I said, okay. And as I've continued on and I've been thinking about it, well, part of what I'm known for is igniting what's possible, right? Part of what I'm known for is helping people feel comfortable to challenge themselves, try something, to do something they didn't think that they could, to help them feel unstuck, whether it's an executive and an organization, whether it's an individual who's looking to change jobs, right? Across the board. And I do a lot of other things. I'm capable of doing a lot of other things. I can teach an agile class. I can teach a Scrum or Kanban or different things like that. But what I want my brand to focus on is the work that I'm specifically most interested in. So yes, I have information about the other things that I do, but I don't want that to get too noisy to where somebody's like, no, she only teaches Scrum. No, that's not all that I do, right? And so I really want my brand to be the primary focus of where I'm at. So for me, it's leadership, right? It's all aspects of leadership. And so my book reinforces that, my classes reinforce that, my messaging on my webpage reinforces that, my brand tagline reinforces that, my LinkedIn. Yes, I have reference to the other things that I can do, although I have taken off coding. I should not be doing that for anybody. Although I did work with my son on his one of his coding projects the other day for his college, and I was very proud of myself. But these kinds of things of what is the emphasis of your brand, what's the consistency and the focus, not. Yes, we all want to be generalizing specialists in some ways, especially if we're agilists. And yes, you are capable of doing a lot of things. But what is that primary thing? What's the thing that you're known for, right? And I want to be known for leadership development. I want to be known for leadership growth. I want to be known for helping. Now that can look like helping a leader be able to speak, and train and have a more impactful speak. That's lovely, Trisha. Having a more impactful communication when they're speaking, or it's helping people develop teams as leaders. It's helping people deal with risks, change, whatever it might be, right? But I'm always helping leaders in general, and that's my primary focus. And by really kind of centering on that, it doesn't diminish all of my other capabilities, but it doesn't create noise. And so, yes, somebody will still reach out to me like, hey, can you do, in fact, I just had somebody reach out to me and ask me if I can help them with some metrics that they're doing. It's not my passion point. It's not and I'm going to meet with them to see if I'm going to refer them to somebody else or if I'll do it. But it is something that I'm capable of, but it's not my primary. And so, but when I try to put everything out there, it just becomes noise. So really figure out what that consistent, what are you going to be known for area is, that subject, the expertise that you bring to the table is, and then really focus in on that when you are doing your assets, when you are doing your webpage, your promos, your pictures, whatever it might be, with those things. Okay. So those are my 3 tips. Today was a little bit longer for people, but there's a lot of content in there. So, I have a couple virtuals coming up, some small, like more smaller kind of workshop type workshops. We did set our next, speaking to Jake earlier, we did set our next Leading Amazing Teams virtual course in August is now available. I am going to be at several conferences coming up because you know me, extrovert, want to be at the in-person events, and honestly, they just energize me from the learning to the community across the board. So I'm going to be at Innovate in Richmond, Virginia. I'm going to be at Scan Agile in Finland. I'm so excited. I've never been there before. I've never been to either of those places, so I'm super excited about both of them. I'm going to be at TechWell in Orlando coming up. Their Star East, it would be, I guess. I'm going to be at Craft in Budapest this year as well. And there is Mile High Agile that's going to be on July 27th. You register, ping Agile Denver, ping me to find out. We're partnering with PMI Agile Alliance for Agile 2025. So at Mile High Agile Denver will be on Sunday the 27th, and Agile 2025 will start on Monday for the next few days. And I will be at Agile 2025 as well. So first half of the year, quite a few conferences, but if you see me, say hi, come talk to me. I love it. I love being in the community and out with everybody and just learning and growing and laughing. So thank you for spending today with me. Have a wonderful March. I'll see you in April.